What's up, friends? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me again. Today we're checking out episode 4 of Chernobyl. Only have 2 more episodes to go. The first 3 were amazing. I'm really excited to watch these next 2. Nervous, obviously, because of the things that we saw in the last episode. It was our first kind of awful experience with seeing the effects of radiation. We'd seen hints at it in the first 2, obviously with red faces, a little bit of blistering and things of that nature, but that was the first time I'd seen personally just the horrible effects that nuclear radiation has on a person. Just completely dehumanizes them, turns them into something that is unrecognizable and it just looks like the most horrifying possible experience that you could go through. And it was hard watching loved ones, specifically the wife, have to watch her husband go through that. Obviously very worried for her going forward, especially since she's pregnant. She's gotten a lot of exposure to him. We also got introduced to a little bit more of the KGB presence and how they're kind of this overarching dark entity that is quite scary to deal with, especially with the physicists and with Boris. Now we know that they're kind of being watched very carefully, and so any wrong move could potentially get them in a lot of trouble, jail time, worse even. And so that makes what they're doing a little more worrisome and makes scenes with them a little bit more intense, just knowing that there's some sort of agents watching them, no doubt, in each scene. So I'm excited to get into this one. Don't know where we're going to go from here. Obviously, we still have the mining going on underneath the reactor with the miners, so I assume we'll see a little bit more of their work and maybe a little bit more of political issues that are going on, but I'm stoked to check it out. Hope you're excited to watch along with me. And if you'd like to see the entire reaction to this episode as well as the other episodes, definitely check out my Patreon link in the description. That's where you can get access to those. Love to have you there, but also super grateful for all of you who are subscribed and watching on here. So grateful for your support. I'm glad that you're enjoying the videos. Love reading your comments and insights. It's been a blast. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and start watching episode 4.
Don't cause trouble.
Trouble? You're not the first soldier to stand here with a gun.
Love the audio overlays over these shots.
After all that I have seen. So I should leave now because of something I cannot see at all.
Dang, man. That's a really fascinating perspective, though, of someone who has been through all that and has survived. Why would she believe something like this? Oh, I thought he shot her. Dang. Shot the cow. Oof, goodness. That was a rough intro to this one. Dang. Definitely interesting considering what's going on in the world today. There's a lot of people who have that same attitude. Whoa, okay, we've jumped way ahead 4 months. The last one we jumped ahead of like a week and a half, so I'm thinking, oh, it'll probably be a little similar, but wow, I was not expecting that. I'm so terrified for her. The show's gonna show us her baby or what happens to it, isn't it? I have a feeling there's no way that they would have her as a pregnant lady introduce her and then not do anything with that. It's kind of interesting that so many of these people smoke and we know smoking causes cancer, but yet they're fearful of radiation causing cancer. Interesting kind of the levels at which people acknowledge fear regarding dangers. I don't know if that's intentional of the show to make that apparent.
Moon rovers. Lunar cards STR-1s. They're light, and if we line them with lead, they can withstand the radiation.
We couldn't put a man on the moon. At least we can keep a man off a roof.
That is the most important
Good
thing,
line.
General. Under no circumstances can men go up there.
Interesting. So did he join the army? And is that what he was signing up for at the end of the last episode?
In Afghanistan,
Oh, I wasn't in Afghanistan. I'm not in the military.
Oh.
They're running out of men. He's with me. You understand? Nobody with them.
Seems like he got in good favor with the right guy.
Animal control.
Yeah, they're radioactive. So they have to go. They're mostly pets. They're happy to see you. They run right up to you. Bang.
Man, I don't want to see them going out to kill pets. It's weird how, like, I can watch the last episode with humans going through the worst pain imaginable, but as soon as you start killing pets on screen, then I get extremely uncomfortable. But, I mean, that's not a very uncommon thing. Shots like that, establishing one in the library, are so appealing.
I need to see the following documents. They're listed as permission only.
Comrade?
That's a great filmmaking choice of not showing his face. It makes him a lot more ominous, makes him seem more of a presence than a person.
She can have that one.
Oh, now they showed his face. That's insane. She's only allowed to see a few of them. Hey, that's the shot that's on the poster. It's so crazy, though, how the reactor literally destroyed all types of life. Trees, the plants, the animals. Just makes it a complete unlivable wasteland.
Tell me when we're ready to move it.
To think that's what we put on the moon. I'm not that one. I know, not that one. Well, hey, what's that? Smile.
I like their relationship. It's come quite a ways since the beginning of the second episode, but they do make a pretty good duo.
Can you confirm that the reactor exploded after they attempted to shut it down?
How do I even know it exploded, huh?
I found this in the State Archive. It's about the operation of RBMK reactors under extreme conditions.
So?
They made a mistake. They didn't redact the table of contents.
Oh, so that wasn't intentional that she was allowed to get that.
There is no truth. Ask the bosses whatever you want, you'll get the lie. And I will get the bullet.
Such a hopeless situation with an entity watching over you like that. There's a ton of emphasis on cigarette shots in this one that there's no way it doesn't line up with what I was saying, right? At the beginning of the episode? Because it's way more than the first 3 episodes that we've been seeing shots like that. Maybe it's just a stylistic choice and I'm reading too much into it.
I only have 2 rules. 1, don't point this gun at me. That's easy, right? 2, if you hit an animal, don't let them suffer.
I'm glad that he at least doesn't want the animals to suffer more than they have to. That's such a hard thing to ask of someone, especially when they're not a soldier. Oh, man, poor animals. Oh, that's so sad. It's incredibly sad to watch that happen and for them to be killing the animals, but at the same time, the animals would probably suffer a lot. I don't know how radiation affects them compared to humans, but I assume they suffer as well, so in a way, it's a little bit merciful, and obviously they're stopping further spread.
Go away. Go.
Oh man, my heart is suffering right now. Oh, I don't want to see that.
Don't let them suffer.
Man, that would scar me so badly for life.
This happens to everyone the first time. Normally when you kill a man, so what? There's no shame in it. My first time, Afghanistan. Suddenly a man was there and I shot him in the stomach. I was so scared I didn't pull the trigger again for the rest of the day. You put a bullet in someone. You're not you anymore. But then you wake up the next morning and you're still you. That was you all along. You just didn't know.
What an unbelievable interaction. I think that might be my favorite bit of dialogue or conversation from the whole show so far, because it's just dealing with normal human people having to do awful things, and it just humanizes them. It makes them a lot more relatable, especially with someone more seasoned talking to someone who's just brand new in it. I really loved that interaction.
Joker. What the Germans named him? Joker.
Is it ready?
It's ready.
Some foreshadowing for the composer, moving from one Joker to the next.
Reverse one.
Jeez, that barely took anything. Oh my gosh, just a death zone.
Of course I know they're listening! I want them to hear! I want them to hear it all! Tell Gorbachev! Tell them!
Some great acting.
The official position of the state is that a global nuclear catastrophe is not possible in the Soviet Union. You need a new phone.
Oh man, Boris is like my favorite character in the show now. I don't know how accurate his acting and depiction of him is to the person in real life that he's representing, but he's really grown on me.
We need another robot, one that can withstand the radiation.
At last, there is nothing. There are no robots.
They're gonna send people up there, aren't they?
We use bio-robots. Ben.
Gosh, that's basically instant death by sending them up there. They've already asked so many men to sacrifice themselves. Gosh dang it, dude. This is so horrifying. I keep having to remind myself that what I'm watching, even though it's based off a real story, is fake. Otherwise, I'd just be too sad. Oh, stop showing cute animals. No way. Stop. Skip to the next scene.
Just go outside.
That's the most horrifying moment of the show for me, definitely, so far. Oh my... I can't watch that. How in the world did they film that? I would have been losing it on the set.
Because of the nature of the working area, you will each have no more than 90 seconds to solve this problem. We must clear the graphite. Some of it is in blocks weighing approximately 40 to 50 kilograms. They all must be thrown over the edge here. These are the most important 90 seconds of your lives.
Wow. Even though they're only up there for 90 seconds, surely it's still gonna affect them, I would think. That'd be so scary. This is filmed so unbelievably well. There's so much to be thrown over. This is so intense. No way. Oh, this is very difficult to watch. Oh, he's done, man. He's done.
You're done.
That's awful. Also, I'm so glad that they decided to do that sequence in one take, because 90 seconds doesn't seem too long, but a lot of people would have added cuts and things, but doing it all in one take really sold that scene. Is she going into labor? Is she having contractions? This episode is rough, man. I thought last episode was bad.
What are they asking you to do?
Tell the world what happened.
Well, then you'd better know what happened.
Are they guilty?
Yes. But the explosion? I'm not sure.
Interesting.
I think this article may have the answer. You've seen this before.
Please, believe me when I tell you that I had no idea it could cause an explosion.
If the boron control rods are completely withdrawn from the reactor, when they're put back in, the first thing that enters the core isn't boron, it's graphite.
Shoot.
Why on earth would they press that button?
They didn't know.
So it is their fault.
Yes.
But not only their fault. Is that what you're going to say in Vienna?
You can't possibly be that naive. What you're proposing is that Legasov humiliate a nation that is obsessed with not being humiliated. You leave this information out in Vienna, they quietly let us fix the remaining reactors.
That's so horrible.
They'll go after your family. They'll go after your friends.
You have a chance to talk to the world, Valery.
This is so great with the conflicting opinions.
To hell with our lives. Someone has to start telling the truth.
Heck yeah, this girl is awesome. What a powerful scene. That was so good. So many great lines of dialogue. It almost felt like instead of talking to scientists, the two of them were talking to the audience, and we were kind of making the decision on what to do ourselves. At least that's what I was doing, and really neither option is that great. That's the horrible thing. But one of the options will save infinitely more lives. Haunting shot. This poor lady, she's had to endure immense emotional pain for 9 months. That was an incredible episode. Definitely, I think, the best in my opinion so far. Definitely the most impactful. Well, if it wasn't for the few very brief moments of levity at the beginning of that episode, like the phone moment with Boris, that would have just been constant hour-long emotional beatdowns. That was such a rough, brutal episode. Maybe the saddest and most depressing episode of a show I've ever seen. That was really difficult to watch at points, whether it's having to annihilate an entire city of animals, or whether it's tons of young men putting their lives at risk by trying their best to get the graphite off the roof, some cases unsuccessfully, like the guy who cut open his boot. He's done for sure. He's probably got some serious radiation issues now. It was just so many awful things to watch in that episode. But with all that being said, that still, I think, is my favorite episode of the show so far because of how powerful and impactful every scene was. The cinematography was gorgeous, so well done. The music was so haunting and added so much to every scene that it was used in. The acting, I thought, was phenomenal that episode, especially from our big three that keep showing up, the two physicists and Boris. I thought they were all very great in their roles in this one. And since in this one we jumped so far ahead, we're really seeing how the reactor blowing up affected everything, from the animals to the plants to the trees. The people are still having awful effects, like the wife giving birth to her baby who barely lived at all, and I'm sure was in pain the whole time with the radiation. It just as leaving such a long-lasting horrible effect. And when the first couple episodes are going on and it's just going hour by hour, it seems bad and obviously like a horrible situation. But since we're now months ahead and it's still such a horrible situation, it just makes everything seem so much worse and like it's never going to end. And I can't imagine having to deal with all of these horrible things and then having the Soviet Union and the KGB just reigning over you and watching your every move and waiting for you to make a mistake. That's just the worst possible situation. It was just such a perfect recipe for disaster by being in that sort of government and situations. So it's just awful. I definitely feel for those people. That's an impossible situation where the only way that you could essentially do the right thing is by giving up your own life and the life of probably all the people that you love. Hard to believe we only have one more episode of the show to go. Not sure how they're going to be able to resolve all these issues. Not sure if we're going to see them resolve all or any of the major issues. Obviously, in the very first scene of the show, we see Legasov wrapping up those tapes and hiding them. And so I assume it will at least get to that point. We may see past what happened in that moment if his efforts were successful. Obviously, he eventually kills himself, so we know how his story ends, but it'll be interesting to see how some of the other characters' stories end. So I'm very intrigued, excited to finish the show, not only to find out how it ends, but also just not be so depressed after watching these episodes, because this is a very difficult show to watch, very emotionally taxing. I can't imagine. This is just watching the show. I can't even fathom living through something like this. Obviously, a lot of you commented your experiences, whether you lived close by, and the things that are still happening today because of it. I can't imagine going through something like that. That's just such a difficult situation. And it was interesting to learn in this episode that a lot of it had to do with human error, but that it wasn't fully human error as well. It was just faults in the system. So if you've made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching and sticking through to the end. If you'd like to see the full reaction to this episode, as well as all the other episodes and the next one coming up, definitely check out my Patreon link in the description. That's where you'll be able to get access to all of that, as well as polls to help me decide what I watch or react to in the future. And if you're subscribed, thank you so much for your support. It's much appreciated. If you enjoyed the video, definitely consider leaving a thumbs up. Definitely helps the channel grow and helps these videos reach more people. So I'm grateful for you who do that. And if you're new, definitely consider subscribing and turning on that notification bell so you can know when I upload my next episodes. But I will see you all for the last one on Tuesday to finish up Chernobyl. And until then, I'll see you all later. Peace.